Hey, welcome to Black Spinner Circle Music Vidcast. I'm Al Horta. My esteemed co-host Andy Rodriguez. What's up,
Hello,
brother?
everybody. Hey, how's it going, Al?
Good.
Very excited for tonight's show. Very excited.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. One of my favorite '90s bands, DiG from DiG. The original guitar players John Morris and Johnny Cornwell. How you doing, guys?
Great.
Good.
I'm very humbled that you guys are coming on. I mean, you guys, I discovered you guys from Believe, seeing it on MTV, and I fell in love with you guys right away, and I'm real happy you guys decided to come on.
Yes, thank you so much.
You guys have a new album out. It's the first album in what, like 21 years, I think, 25 years.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Since 1999. Wow, 26 years.
Well, yeah.
Called small I in the parentheses, and you can get that on Bandcamp. Dig the band, Bandcamp now digitally. You guys are going to have a physical release of that eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, cool! Vinyl,
Yeah,
CD.
Drop some vinyl hopefully in February. By February, we should have a full length vinyl. It's being manufactured right now, so it's definitely in the works. And it should,
cool.
And then after that, we'll start touring and doing some shows, hopefully through the summer to support.
All right, cool.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, so all right. We'll talk about the new album, but I want to talk about like your beginnings and how you guys formed and everything. So you guys are from Los Angeles. I think you formed in '91. Am I correct on that? The official formation?
Yeah, right around that time. Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't take super long time for the band to get put together. I met Scott, our singer, and Anthony, the original drummer, through a friend that was playing with them, that was playing bass with them, and went down and they were rehearsing, and they wanted a second guitar player because Scott was singing and playing guitar, and he just felt like he needed another guitar in the mix.
Yeah.
And then we started writing more. Scott was already writing songs on a 4-track. We started writing more songs, and as we kind of moved along, we were like, wait, we have more guitar tracks than we have guitar players. So that kind of set the search, which ended up finding John. And but the weirdest part is that John, myself, and Scott were originally from San Diego. We all grew up in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
So we knew of each other, and we've, been to backyard parties in San Diego, together at the same time, and kind of hung together in San Diego and all that. And it was just kind of weird that we were all in LA and kind of came together at that point. So that kind of solidified the guitar lineup. And originally Scott was just going to be the singer. And then we kind of got through a couple shows, and he was like, I'd rather sing and play guitar. And we kind of needed, after writing the way we did, we kind of needed that 3-guitar,
Yeah.
That's what I love about it, man. I love the 3-guitar attack that you guys have, man.
Yeah.
It's like a wall like coming at you, man. It's like a freight train. I love that sound that you guys got with the 3-guitar attack. I think it looks cool, And
it was kind of just like by default, it's like we never set out to do that, and in theory, it really kind of almost shouldn't work. It should be too much. Yeah. But we all have, the three of us have such different influences in music that it kind of worked, because nobody was ever like, oh, I want to be the lead guitarist. John's better at leads and all that, and I play more of the the more ambient kind of stuff and all that. So It totally works. There's never a question of who's going to play what.
We all had a different style. That's why it worked, and we all had different tones. We weren't sitting on each other's feet with our. We weren't just on the same frequency the whole time.
Yeah, it probably wasn't like you guys probably were like, well, we all got to play like Mesa Boogies. We all got to, you guys had your own rigs and your own whatever.
Yeah. And once we figured out that we were doing that, then we really worked with it. Like, okay, Johnny, you're the jangly guy. Scott, you need the Fender, big loud guitar, and then John, you have the rock, the heavy guitar in there, and it really started working.
Yeah, it's kind of what kind of gives us part of our dynamic too, because like when we play live, we're really like up and down, and as far as dynamics and stuff. So that kind of really helps out in the in that department.
Yeah. Go ahead, Andy.
Oh no. I was just going to ask. You said that y'all converged in the early '90s in LA, and we always hear about the hair band scene in the early to mid '80s. What was the alternative scene like in the early '90s in LA? I mean, like, was there a big scene?
I mean, when you guys formed, it was probably
what happened is that
transitional period.
There was just a bunch of hair bands going on, and Nirvana came out, and pretty much in one day, it was all over for those guys. So everyone started scrambling, and just go, oh, we really just need to cut our hair and quit screaming and don't play leads, and we're kind of a grunge band, and everyone started getting signed. It was kind of some of
it was
that
kind of weird because you wouldn't like bands like us wouldn't like an alternative band wouldn't traditionally be playing at like the Roxy or the Whiskey or that stuff anymore because the hair metal bands were kind of still in that thing, and alternative was a little more shun on that, and it's like I lived through that scene. I moved to LA in '84, so I mean I lived that whole, and I was in bands that were more to that side of the
glam LA,
yeah, glam LA,
the Sunset Strip scene.
But it's like I moved through a lot of different scenes though too at the time because I was working in record stores, so I liked a lot of different kind of music. So even if I would go, to the Strip, to the Whiskey to go see, Guns N' Roses or somebody like that. I mean, I saw Guns N' Roses and played like the first time at the Troubadour. But then I was also going downtown to like, there was a kind of a more underground, like deeper goth scene, or kind of what became alternative, which would have been like Jane's Addiction.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
So like Jane's Addiction kind of pushed that alternative, a little bit harder and harder, so where it came. So, being into those bands, I know John was like really into bands like where you listen to like Bauhaus and like Love and Rockets and stuff like that, at that time. So.
Yeah, still heavy.
Yeah,
there was a rich. I mean, the '80s was. I mean, everybody always was like, hair metal in the '80s, but there was a rich, like. I mean, I remember back then they called it modern rock or whatever. It wasn't really called alternative yet or whatever. Right. It was just kind of underground, but it was a scene bubbling underneath. I mean, it was.
No, there always was. I mean, you had clubs like Club Lingerie and like these other clubs that were more on the east side, and you had Spaceland and all those that was going on, but it just. The hair metal and the Guns N' Roses thing that was going on was just so much bigger. You had even like Madam Wong's East and West, and those were like those things. Go-Go's were playing there, and all those bands. So I mean, it was we were a little bit me personally lean more to the rock stuff only because it was guitar oriented, or heavier guitar oriented actually. I mean, everything kind of was at that point, unless you were a total synth band, like
So.
Eventually, though, the alternative took over the scene, and then you know what I mean. Then more of those clubs were just in Hollywood, and then the hair metal was gone.
So like those bands in the '80s that y'all are talking about, they were kind of like what we used to call like left of the dial, or like college rock is what it was.
More I mean alternative, and that's what the name came
that's
from.
What they turned it into.
So
fantastic.
Because I remember my older brother, who was like I was talking to John before when we were off air. My older brother, growing up with him, he's 5 years older than me, so I'm 53. So so him growing up, I kind of grew up on his record collection. So he was a big, in the beginning, he was like Zeppelin, The Doors, things like that, Skynyrd, AC/DC, then, Sabbath, things like that. So I kind of like cut my teeth on that. And then as I started discovering like, Van Halen and Rush and things like that in the early 80s, as I became like 10, 11 years old, you kind of start discovering things on your own, you know what I mean? Kind of, kind of going on your own path. But, I credit my older brother for getting me on that rock path, which is great. And I remember like in 86, 87, he had a friend of his he made him like a mixtape of like all these like kind of college bands, you know, like REM was like breaking big already, but like it was that and like the Smithereens, because I'm from New Jersey, so they were kind of like bubbling up, and you know, things like that. And I remember listening to that stuff, and I was like, wow, you know, In Excess, shit like that, and I was like, wow, this is like really, really good stuff, you know. So kind of opened my mind. And then when you know, my high school years was 86 to 90, so I mean,
changeover, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, then you know, in the mid '80s, I started getting into heavier stuff. So I started getting into thrash, like Metallica and Slayer, things like that. And then when I heard it, Jane's Addiction, you guys brought up Jane's Addiction before, and that nothing shocking album. I remember a friend of mine who was really into like alternative as well. He's like, "Yeah, check this album out," and I was like, "It was heavy, man, but it was just like different, man. Like it was almost like a poetry reading, kind of set to like metal almost, you know, because Navarro is like a metal guitarist, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
100%. Yeah.
You know, but him and Perry Farrell, you know, like they were like a yin and yang. You know, he brought that kind of poetry. He was almost like a Jim Morrison kind of guy, you know, and it was so fresh to the scene. It was so cool, you know. So I could kind of see them. I mean, they were a huge influence on a lot of like that '90s stuff. So. And I hear some of that in DiG, you know, I hear a little bit of that. So, you know,
you know, I would say the thing that we would take from them, I guess, would be the dynamic thing. Their dynamics are phenomenal. Like if you ever see them live, it's so.
I've seen them plenty of times live. Yeah.
I
saw them on this last tour here in Tampa, which is only a couple of days before that whole fiasco blew up.
Wow.
And the Tampa show was considered one of the worst, besides the last show where they got into a fight on stage. Tampa was considered one of the worst shows of the tour. And I remember I went with my wife and I went with a friend of mine, and sometimes my wife and I would turn to each other and we were like, what are they playing, man? Like they were so kind of not in sync with each other. Like, you know, and I was like, something's up here. And, you know, Perry came out with a wine bottle and everything. I'm like, oh, dude, he's like,
oh no, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign.
Something's going. I mean, for me, I was like, what? Yes, it's rock and roll, but then I'm like, but you're kind of like not, you know, you're not being tight either. You know what I'm saying? You could be tight and loose, you know. So,
and so I mean, as far as the Jane's Addiction stuff goes, the other connection that we have with them is that, you know, Dave Jordan produced our record, and Dave Jordan produced Nothing Shocking.
Yes.
So I mean, we kind of were in that kind of, you know, production style with Dave and all that. So and then our manager was Gary Kurfürst, and Gary Kurfürst managed Jane's Addiction. So and so Gary Kurfürst started, so we were on a label called Radioactive, and Radioactive was started when the Ramones contract was up for renewal with Sire, and they went in to negotiate the deal with it. And Sire was like, we don't want to give you what you're asking. And they said, okay, well, we're just going to go and start our own label. So they started a Radioactive, and that was with Gary Kurfürst, who, you know, I believe at that point he was still managing Jane's, and he managed, of course, you know, Ramones, and they also managed Talking Heads and B-52s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Deborah Harry for a while and all that. So we were lucky enough to get picked up by that label because it was a smaller label ended up being through Universal distribution through Universal, but it was more boutique. Like the bands on that label were like that band Live was on there, and there was a couple bands out of England because they had Gary had a partner that was from so he had one guy in England kind of picking some English bands or European bands, and then Gary was running the American version of the label.
And Scott went on to produce actually Acid Eaters, didn't he? By the Ramones?
Yeah.
I love that covers album. I thought it was great. They put some really cool songs on there. I saw them on that tour as well. I saw them at a place called City Gardens in Trenton, New Jersey, which is a legendary like punk club. It's kind of like the New Jersey version of CBGB's.
So were they doing all the covers?
No. I mean, it was the tour for that, but they threw like maybe two or three in. But I mean, they did their usual 30-song set.
What year was that?
John played guitar on it. Didn't you do a little guitar thing on it?
Yeah, I played on Surf City. I played guitar.
Oh, okay. I think it was 93 that came out, I believe.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that would have been about that. Yeah,
probably around the same time you guys had your debut full length, right? Wasn't that 93?
yeah, but we didn't break until kind of 94 is when
Yeah.
for Buzz Clip and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I remember the first time. Here's a good Ramones story. The first time I went to New York ever in my life, we were going to play CMJ, and we're going to open up for the Ramones. And so I just flown into New York, got there, and Scott was working with the Ramones in the studio because he had been there for the month before. And so he goes, come to the studio, and then we'll go out afterwards and go hang out and check out some bars and clubs and whatever. I said, okay, cool. So they take me to the studio and drop me off. And he said, he was in the studio working. He said, go in the green room and hang out, whatever. So I walk into the green room, and it's me, Joey Ramone, and Tracy Lords, because Gary was working with Lords.
She had an album out too, I think, at that time.
Yeah, she did a
Radioactive
dance record on our label. And so we were just hanging out there, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. My first time in New York. We're in the Village and whatever. And so the session was over, and then our singer was like, Scott was like, I'm gonna run to the hotel really quick and take a shower, and then I'll meet you guys wherever. And so our drummer had showed up. Our drummer was from Queens originally, so he had flown out, and he had his mom's Oldsmobile. And we were walking out of the studio, and it was me, Anthony, and Joey Ramone walking down the stairs. And Anthony turns to Joey and he goes, "Hey, where are you going?" And Joey says, "Well, I'm going to walk home." And he says, well, I got my mom's car. You want to ride? And Joey goes, "Okay, cool." So within me being in New York, within like 2 hours, 3 hours, I'm driving up Broadway with Joey Ramone in the front seat, and he told me, he goes, "Hey, you get up front too," whatever. So it's the three of us, Oldsmobile. Joey Ramone's in the middle, and his knees are like over the dashboard.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, what is going on? And then he's like, "Oh, my house is over here." We dropped him off. He's like, "I'll see you tomorrow at the show." And we're like, "Okay, cool." And then we drove off, and we're like, what the fuck just happened?
That's great, man.
That's so cool. It's like just dropping off a friend at his house saying, "I'll see you tomorrow."
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was like around.
Those guys are really cool.
So that was in like 93 or something around that time?
Around that tune.
Yeah.
93, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Cool, man. Cool.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great.
So John, Morris, I'll call John and then Johnny. So that way you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, your influences, man, coming up, man, if you want to touch on that, you know.
Yeah, it was early rock stuff like Jethro Tull and Rory Gallagher, Frampton, Joe Walsh, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is what I really got into. And then I got into metal, like all that, like AC/DC, Saxon, Judas Priest, Scorpions, all that kind of good stuff.
All that good early 80s stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Andy. Go ahead.
Oh, so John, since we're talking about the beginnings of your musical journey, what was the first album you remember buying with your own money?
I remember sending my grandma to go get us Kiss Alive, Ted Nugent, and Black Sabbath, and she rode the bus and brought us home those records.
Wow, she rode the bus to go get you. Wow, that's awesome.
But I think actually
that's a great grandma.
Yeah.
The first record I bought with my own money was the Song Remains the Same, Zeppelin Live. That double album. Yeah.
I'll just interject real quick. My older brother took me to a midnight when I was probably like 10 years old. Took me to a midnight showing of because they used to play that at midnight in theaters.
Yeah,
and he took me to that. The spark that made me want to play guitar was during Dazed and Confused when Jimmy Page is doing the call and response with the bow, and I just thought, sure. I mean, his Les Paul is just slung down to his knees, and he's just doing that, and like the crowd like just looking at him like he's a god, and I'm like 10 years old looking, I'm like, I want to do that, man. I want to fucking do that, you know. And that was the spark. That was the first time, and then the first song I ever first riff I ever played was Iron Man. So that was like the first thing. I remember I didn't have an amp. I bought a cheap piece of shit electric guitar that I bought off a guy in my freshman year in high school, 86. And then I with an RCA jack, I kind of rigged it to go into my stereo, and I used that as like an amp, you know. So that was like my first thing, you know. So and I mean, playing the Iron Man, like when you learn your first riff, it's like, wow, dude, I can play, you know. So
and you don't want to stop.
No.
You're doing it over and over. You're like, I got it.
And then when you plug it in and you're like getting feedback and you know have your first box and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So you guys, so your EP Runts, that was the first thing you guys released, right? 92.
Yeah.
Was the first thing? Yeah.
The first commercial. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you guys probably had demos before that or whatever, right? You know.
Yeah. Well, our demo story was kind of weird because we had the 4-track demos, and you know we were all playing on those, and then that our drummer was really good friends with a girl that worked at the Radioactive at the label, Karen, and kind of became our A&R person there. And he had just given her the demos as like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And she was like, wow, this is really good. I want to play it for Gary. You know, maybe we could do something with you guys on the label. And we were like, oh, no. We're working on a demo right now, and we'll send him that. But we weren't. And we were like, okay, we gotta get in the studio really quick. And so longtime San Diego buddy Trent, who actually recorded the Runt EP, was working at a studio and said, hey, we can go in overnight and we can do this. And so we did that. We went in overnight and we tracked a better demo, and that's what they ended up getting. And then we pretty much got signed from that, you know.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But Trent actually ended up doing we ended up doing the EP at that studio. So it was kind of cool. It was kind of
cool.
And what about you, Johnny? What was your first piece of music that you bought with your own money?
My first vinyl record that I bought was Van Halen, the first record.
Okay.
So I went to longtime best friend's house one night when we were like 16, and he was like, I got to play you all these records. You got to get a record player, your own record player, because my parents had records on that when they were gone during the day. Stuff, you know, play my own records and stuff. And he goes, you got to get your own turntable, and we got to get you some music. And we sat there, and he played me all the 20 records we listened to. Just kept going and listen to this and listen to this. And it was everything from Rush to Peter Frampton to, you know, all the stuff that he was in. He was a little bit more into a little bit more progressive, like Rush and stuff like that. And then here comes Van Halen 1, and we made it to Eruption. And the second that went on, I mean, that I wasn't playing guitar before that, and then after that, guitar player. I was like, this is it. I don't know what this guy's doing, but I want to do that. And I mean, to this day, I didn't even get close to playing. I'm lucky I have John in the band to play because I'm not that kind of guitar player, you know, and that's why I'm more in the ambient pocket and all that. But definitely, you know, Van Halen 1.
Hey man, if he's the spark though, you know, that's great. That's all that matters, man. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
we made the list. So I made a list of 20 records I was going to buy from his collection. You know what he had, and the only one that I bought was that one record from that. Because of course, at that money, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go down to Tower and buy 20 records, and I'm like, oh, here's my $10. I can get one.
Yeah. That's how it was back then, man. You know, the good old days. Yeah, go ahead, Andy. You got anything else?
Yeah, I just have a couple more questions
man.
about how your musical journey continues. So what was the first concert you went to, Johnny?
My first concert was Kiss Dynasty.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know, we grew up in San Diego. Me and John grew up in San Diego. And one night my parents came home and they said, hey, we got to go to the store. Come with us. And we're like, we never go to the store with you. Why go? And you have to go with us. So where the store was, the supermarket that we went to was right across the street from the San Diego Sports Arena.
Yeah.
And we were driving in the parking lot and we see the sign and we're like, oh my God, Kiss is playing tonight. And my parents turn around and they go, and we got tickets.
Wow.
No way. That's awesome.
That's
Yeah, they tricked
awesome.
us. And that was my first concert. So, I mean, to me, every concert from that was just downhill because that show was like, you know, at the peak of everything they were doing was in that show, you know. And I was like, you know, you go see a show after that and you're like, oh, well, Kiss was doing blood and fire and all this. And, you know, that was pretty cool.
I know so many.
That's
I
not
know so
blinking
many.
lights.
I know so many people, like, you know, a little bit older than me, like, you know, that Dynasty was like their first concert. My first concert was Kiss as well, but it was the Asylum tour in 1985 at Madison Square Garden. So it was already out of the makeup, but still, it was still a 14-year-old or whatever, 15, 14. I think I was 13 or 14, and it was still spectacular. I mean, I was like blown away.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And they did, like, you know, Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who towards the end and blowing shit up. And it was fucking nuts, man. It was great.
Wow.
So I always tease, my first concert was supposed to be Van Halen 1984 tour. I begged my brother, I'm like, please get tickets, man. And he couldn't get them. It was just, they were the hottest band at the time. Everything was sold out. I mean, my brother, I guess at the time he didn't understand the concept of like scalping a ticket or something.
Yeah.
So we were like, he was like, I tried to get tickets at Ticketmaster or Ticketron or whatever it was called back then, and I couldn't get any. And I was like, oh man, you know. But Kiss was my great first concert too. So
amazing.
Yeah.
And what about you, John? What was your first concert?
It was Rory Gallagher, Robin Trower, and Jethro Tull at the Balboa Stadium.
Oh,
wow.
What year was that?
Nuts. I was like 14. Jeez, I don't even remember.
Probably late 70s, right?
Yeah. Like I can't believe my parents let me go. They let me go with my uncle. But it was like general admission. I remember being at the rope, like right in front. There was a rope. There wasn't any, you know, big bouncers and games.
A rope.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
Rope.
A rope.
But I mean, it was insane. Robin Trower blew me away. Rory Gallagher. I don't know if you know that guy.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I've got his double live at BBC CD. I love Rory Gallagher. It was a special CD that his brother put together after his death.
Okay. Yeah. And then Jethro Tull, they were huge at the time. I'm trying to think what year. Oh God, what was it? But they were like the biggest band at the time, Jethro Tull, man. So
I heard they put on split. I heard, like, you know, I've seen footage, and I mean, everybody's always like, Jethro Tull, they won the metal album and whatever. But in the 70s, man, because I have a friend of mine that's older too that he went to see, and he's like, let me tell you something, man. The concert that they put on in the 70s was fucking, they were like insane, man. Like Ian Anderson was like an insane front man, you know, all over the place, and just they put on a spectacular show, he said. So and I've seen video footage of that, so I believe it. So, but you know, you were there, so you would know better than me. So
in San Diego, we got to see AC/DC with Bon Scott a couple times, and I saw Van Halen open for Black Sabbath, like on the first tour or something, like and they had this thing where in the sports arena they do a quarter theater, where it's just the end of the theater and of the sports arena, and it was it would be amazing. We'd see a lot of good shows like that.
That's awesome, man.
San Diego had a lot of good concerts.
Always had those KGB Sky shows.
Yeah.
So like 6 or 7 amazing bands. You know, it's just like played on the one. There's like Def Leppard and Motley Crue and Uriah Heep, and then you know, like bands that would, you know, would play together, but normally probably not tour together and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and Motley Crue was on. They had just put out
Too Fast for Love.
Shout at the Devil.
Oh, Shout at the Devil, yeah.
Yeah, so they were playing like second on the bill.
When Motley Crue was dark and awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. All right, so let's move on to your self-titled debut. So that came out 93 tail end?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll say this. So, pretty much this is the story. MTV used to have this thing called a buzz bin. So you guys became this band that they showed the Believe video, and it was a buzz band. You know what I mean? So that's where I saw the Believe video for the first time. Now at this time, I was when Nirvana came in, I mean, I was into a lot of the '80s, Sunset Strip scene, but what Nirvana did, I think it needed to be done anyway because it was so watered down at that point. I mean, it was just copy of a copy of a copy of a band. You know what I mean? It just something needed to change. You know what I mean? I think that change really started with Guns N' Roses. When they came in, they kind of made bands kind of rethink. Well, these guys are at a street level, man, and they're dressing, in black and they're leather and kind of biker almost guys, even though Axl had the high hair and the Welcome to the Jungle video. That soon kind of left, but I mean,
like they brought the rock attitude back.
They brought like the grit back into it was getting too.
But here's the weird thing though. All that stuff in LA was going on at the same time. You had your Poison side of it, and you had your Guns N' Roses side of it.
Exactly.
So if you were like into rock bands in the early late 70s, early 80s, and you were listening to Aerosmith, you were going to go see Guns N' Roses.
Exactly.
And then if you were listening to Slade or something more glam or something like that, you're probably going to go see Poison and all that. And that stuff was going on at the same time. I mean, I went to that show in downtown that turned into a riot, and it was Poison and Guns N' Roses playing on the same stage.
Okay.
So it was going on. And I mean, as much as, I'm not a huge fan of Poison, I went to all the shows because they drew all the chicks. It had to go. Like, it was just crazy. And if they played on a night that you booked a show, you canceled your show. I mean, those guys came, to their credit, they took over Hollywood. I mean, they really crushed it. I saw them too at their first show in LA on a Thursday night at the Troubadour with the old guitar player. And I was like, this is like one of the worst bands I've seen here since I moved up, And then, and same with Guns N' Roses. First time I saw Guns N' Roses, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but this is like kind of like, they were drunk and, high or whatever, and there's something that happened with Guns N' Roses when they got in a studio with a producer. And then they came out after that, they were kind of a different band. I mean, I didn't really grow up on the Aerosmith stuff. I was kind of more into like from San Diego, being into Rat and Van Halen and all that stuff. But yeah, they definitely, there was changes with those bands. Like when Poison got CeCe in the band, there was that huge change right there. They became they were the same band, but they became like more on the pro level. They were serious. It's like people tighten the reins up kind of a little bit.
Yeah. But and now getting back to, the early so, but yeah, my high school years was from 86 to 90. By the time I became a senior in high school, I noticed like the change was really starting, I remember Alice in Chains, facelift in 90. And I'm like, whoa. I saw Man in the Box video and I'm like, whoa, what's this, man? But going before that, I mean, Living Color, Faith No More, even King's X. I love King's X. Bands like that were really kind of it was more substance to their, lyrics. It wasn't just like, I'm going to fucking go bang you and drink and
party all night.
Party, and there's a place for that. I love that stuff too, man. I mean, I loved Rat, Dokken and Motley Crue and all that stuff. Yeah. So when Nirvana came in, it was a breath of fresh air. I was like, okay, cool, man, But I was one of those guys that it's not like I went out and I threw out my Rat records. I threw out for me, like I loved it all, man. Like, I mean, Motley Crue was next to Ministry in my record collection or whatever. I loved all that stuff. I wasn't like jumping on a bandwagon, but I welcomed the change. It was fresh. It was great. Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains was my favorite out of that whole scene. And
I jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I didn't abandon the old stuff, so I loved everything, So, but now seeing Believe video on there, and I'm like, you're talking about dynamics before, so I'm like, it was cool. It's like this heavy song, and all of a sudden, like in the middle, it's kind of like this, almost kind of psychedelic, kind of, kind of real, kind of shoegazing, moody, you know, and I'm like,
the
this
ambient
is cool, man. I love that. I love the change, the dynamic of it, you know. And so when I saw that video, and the video was like, I was like, man, what's going on in this video? You know, it's like a party at like a pool with like these older people and somebody's getting slapped, and you know, I see a spider coming out of an apple and all sorts of like crazy shit, you know, and I'm like, all right, so that's the psychedelic part of it, I think, you know what I mean? So I don't know if you were the one coming out of the pool or something, or I don't remember, but
so there's a lot of different elements with that. So Scott, our singer, was working in the, you know, music video world.
Okay.
You know? And so we did that video with the director Graham Joyce, but it was like kind of a really joint effort, you know, and everybody brought things. Oh, what if we do this and what if we do that? The video is based on a movie called The Swimmer. And it's about this guy. I think it was in the 60s or something like that. And it's about this guy who just goes from pool to pool and swims through these people's pool and then jumps over the fence and swims through the next pool. It's some weird movie. So that was supposed to be the concept, kind of.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of went with it, you know, from there, and it became that. But I mean, as far as like the Man in the Box video and stuff like that. So, you know, one of our good, you know, inside, you know, peeps from the DiG circle was Paul Rackman, and Paul Rackman directed that. And so we are all connected in that thing. And, you know, it goes back to Dave Jordan. Dave Jordan produced the Dirt record, the Alice in Chains Dirt record.
Yes.
So like when we went in to record the first record, we were like, we like what you did with Jane's Addiction with this stuff, but we also love this heaviness of the Dirt record. You know, so it just kind of keeps coming full circle, you know, with kind of how things kind of developed and people that we worked with and stuff like that. So
yeah, so yeah, when I saw that video, I was like, I gotta go on and get this album. I remember I got it on cassette. I was still buying some cassettes back then, you know, because I wanted to hear it in my car right away, and I had a cassette deck. So, and going through the whole album, I was like, this album fucking kicks ass, man. I mean, it became one of my top listened to albums of that year. So, and being from New Jersey, though, you guys actually there was a radio station in New York City called Pure Rock at the time, and I believe that came out. It started in like 93, 94. And it went to like probably 97, 98, and then it folded. But they were playing all sorts of like the newer stuff, kind of mixed in with like a little bit more like some of the classic stuff. Not classic rock, but like, you know, the good shit, like Van Halen, things like that. So, and Believe was getting airplay on the radio, because I remember going to the gym with my friend. We'd hear it in the gym. We'd have the station on in the car. We'd hear Believe in the car. I'm like, it got a healthy dose of radio play in the New York City area. I don't know about other thing, but the pocket in New York City for about like 6 months to a year, I was hearing that song on the radio. You know?
The East Coast was really good to us.
Yeah,
it was better than we do better on the East Coast than we did in our hometown in LA. It was crazy. Like Boston, WFNX up in Boston, huge, you know, fan of. And really helped us push it out and break in that area. So we did really well up in Boston. You know, everywhere from New York up to Boston, all through that stuff, we did really well. Thanks to
So when that video broke, you know, you guys, did you guys sense were you getting booked on tours, or were you getting like bigger shows or anything like that? Or I don't know. I never saw you guys live in concert, unfortunately, but I hope that changes when you guys tour for this new album.
Yeah, that's great.
But how was the touring scene for you guys, like, you know, for that album?
Weren't we on the road when they go, hey, your video is gonna be on MTV, and we're like, what?
Yeah, we were on the road with Bad Brains and Prong.
Oh, wow.
And we were in San Francisco, and I remember there, I think I was standing with John, and so on the road we had a ton of weed, and and it's a weird story. We went on a tour, and our singer planted a bunch of seeds in his backyard. And when we came back from the tour, the plants had gone crazy. So before the Bad Brains and Prong tour, we had cut these plants down, and we're like, what are we going to do? And we're like, just put it in a box and just take it. So we So like we'd prune all the buds off and whatever. So we had like a ton of weed with us, and the Bad Brains guys obviously smoke a lot of weed, and so they quickly became our really good friends. And I think it was one of the times when what was the bass player's name? Daryl or something.
Daryl.
Yeah, came over. Like, you guys had a great show tonight. Blah, blah, blah. We're like, how much weed do you want tonight? You know, whatever. And he was like, oh, by the way, I heard you guys got Buzz Clip. And we're like, what? And he goes, yeah, we heard you guys got Buzz Clip. The last band that was on tour with us, the Beastie Boys, they got Buzz Clip and they blew up. And we were like, we had no idea what he was talking about. And then so we called the label and they were like, shit, we were going to fly out and we were going to surprise you guys and let you know, like, you got Buzz Clip and that whole thing. But I mean, that was opening up for Bad Brains and Prong, playing at 7:30, playing a half an hour, getting $200 a night or whatever it was, to within a month being able to go to Dallas and play Trees and sell it out by ourselves. Oh, so cool. It changed. It just like completely changed the whole dynamic of everything. And you go from begging to be on tours to being able to get on bigger tours because you bring more to the table. Like, so from there we went on the road with Blind Melon, because, you know, they were doing secondary markets, but they needed a little extra push to push them to sold out, you know? So, you know, it helped. It's hand in hand helps itself. So, I mean, obviously Blind Melon was selling out these shows, but it was a great package to have, you know, opening band that's on a buzz bin and all that. So that was cool.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, that was awesome. Especially we get to hear, you know, what happens in the background, because you always see these bands make it big, but you don't see the all the hard work that goes into it. Sometimes luck and, you know, where you are, and like playing with Prong and Bad Brains, you know, that's a great bill.
We did 27 shows with those guys, and it was rough. I mean, we fought for it. We started in Tijuana, and it ended up in New York. We were lucky enough to play with them at CBGB's for CBGB's birthday. They were having. We weren't supposed to play on it, and, you know, our manager, being Gary Kerfurst, who kind of, you know, Ramones, Talking Heads, you know, all that kind of was very in there, and they made a call and said, hey, since our guys are on the road with these guys, can they open the show? So it's one of the most blessed shows I think that I ever played, just being like, you know, getting to play CBGB's, you know, in the not in the heyday, but when it was still cranking, and to play there with Bad Brains was pretty insane.
Cool. So from then, you guys came out with Soft Pretzel EP, right? After that, I think that was like 94, correct?
Well, the record came out after the Run EP. So it went Run EP and then the full length record and then Soft Pretzel.
Yes. Oh wait. Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Like, you had your debut album, you had Believe, and then you guys toured on that. So you guys toured on that probably a year or two or a year and a half. What was your length of run on that?
A little over a year, I'd say we were running on that.
Yeah. You remember when bands used to tour like a year straight? It was like
an album. Yeah. They went everywhere.
I mean, our tours were long, you know. Wrong was, you know, 27 shows, and then Blind Melon was another like 2 months. And then we were out with, you know, we did a ton of shows with the Ramones because we're label mates with them. Those are always pickup shows, but they would be like, you know, 3 and 4 shows at a time.
Yeah.
You know, and then we go do a run. The worst thing we ever did, I mean, it was a great tour. We started in Michigan and we ended up in Connecticut. We were doing a tour with the Posies, and then our label was like, okay, now drive home to LA.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
It was like 3-day drive, and we're like, can't we play somewhere on the way? And they're like, nope, just drive home. And we're like,
just drive home. Jeez. Wow.
So your EP Soft Pretzel comes out in 94. Now, it's got a great cover of Pink Floyd's Fearless on here. Who came up with that idea? And I that's one of my favorite Floyd songs. And actually, I used to be in a band that we used to cover that song. And when we covered that song, we kind of did it your way, a more kind of heavier version of it. Not as fast as you, same tempo as the Floyd version, but like the heavier kind of guitar. So we kind of mixed the Floyd version with your version. You know, because I was in a cover band in the 2000s. I don't know if you guys remember that show, that 70s show. So
Yeah.
we used to call at that time when that show was big. Me and a couple of friends of mine, we formed a band. We called it that 70s rock band, and we just did all 70s like rock covers. So just for fun, and that was one of the songs we did, and we did it kind of the DiG way, your version. You know, we heavied it up, but I love that version that you guys do. It fits like your style like perfectly, you know, and that's one of my favorite Floyd. I love the Metal album. That's like one of my favorite Floyd albums, actually.
Yeah.
So
how do we end up picking that song? Yeah.
I think Scott did. Scott used to play it. I love that song from back in the day. I mean, I love Pink Floyd, but I never went back as far as metal.
Okay.
You know, but then when he
Dark Side, and then
the song and like he said, it just worked with us. We all just hit that G, and we're like, oh yeah, this is gonna sound great.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love that version. I always try to turn my friends on. I posted up on Facebook. Check out this cover, man. Like and I always got a good. People are like, man, that's a fucking really good cover, man. They did that song justice, you know. So
who was it? One of the people from a record company said that's the best song you guys got.
Well, come on,
that was our song. Yeah.
Yeah. I won't say it, but it's a great cover. I love the cover that you guys did. So
yeah, when we recorded it, I never listened to it until after we recorded it. So you know, John and Scott knew it, and so they were like, "It goes like this," and I'm like, "Okay, this is what I would play," you know, whatever. And I never heard it until after we were done recording it. So
the original,
yeah, Pink Floyd's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when we were recording that EP, wasn't that the earthquake story, Johnny?
Yeah. So when we were recording the Soft Pretzel EP, we were recording out at Sound City, which, you know, is the legendary board that Dave Grohl bought.
Yes.
You know, and that whole documentary is kind of on for his studio and all that. So we were recording on that board in that studio. And there was one track where I was doing an acoustic guitar, and they put me in the middle of this big tracking room with these baffles around me and a microphone in front of me, and sat me on a little stool with an acoustic guitar. And it was literally a couple days after the Northridge earthquake, and that studio is basically in Northridge. And so I'm sitting there tracking, headphones on. I can only hear the music, playing along with the music. And all of a sudden, everybody in the control room, because I'm looking through the glass, everybody in the control room just runs out. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm still playing. And one by one, they all kind of come creeping back in, looking at me. And they're like, oh my God, you're still going. And so we had a big, major aftershock, but I couldn't feel it or hear it because I had the headphones on. The music was so loud.
Yeah. And you're so in the moment, probably, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's insane, man. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's so funny. You're all, where are these people going?
Yeah, that studio is amazing though, because you walk down the halls and you're like, oh my God, they did Nevermind here, you know, like you know, and then Tom Petty stuff on the wall and Trick. Like, oh man, all your favorite stuff was done there.
They did Rumors
by Fleetwood Mac. You know, when you see that documentary that they did for Sound City, you see and hear all these great albums that we love and know backwards and forwards that were made in these rooms.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how they got music lovers to work there. It wasn't just executives. It was people who believed in the system of rock and roll. And that's what made it what it is.
That room had a vibe though, like different than most studios that you go into. There's some studios that I walked into where you just you could feel it. You just feel this vibe. And like East West is one of those places that Candace works at. And down there, like you go in there and like tons of like Frank Sinatra stuff's been done in there, and you just walk in the room and there's something about the sound just goes, and you're just in this world of like just music and vibe. It's pretty cool.
I guess it has to do with all the history and the people that were in that room, and just making timeless music that we still listen to 60, 70 years later, and so on and so on. It's amazing how music transforms a room, you know, what, you know.
It's crazy too when you think about it. Like they were making those records when they just had tape, you know, they only had couple tracks, you know, and it wasn't even like they were using all the tracks, you know, and it's just like now everybody's like, oh, I did my record and 48 tracks, and you know, and they used every, you know, Pro Tools and all that, which is, you know, it's cool and it's the new tool, but it's just when you listen back to some of these classic records and you think like a lot of the stuff they just did in the take, you know, and like, and that was it. So it's cool.
So,
all right, so
before we start talking about the new album,
yeah,
and you just talked about recording. So how different is it recording from y'all's first album to the album I that y'all just released a few weeks ago, or has y'all's methods not changed at all?
They've changed a lot. I mean, I actually sent some of my tracks in. I did some of mine at home and sent some in. It's cool. I mean, you got to embrace it. I mean, I'd much rather be at Ocean Way Studios with the vibe, hanging out with my fruit bowl and, you know, doing my tracks and having all day to do them and whatever. But
those days have changed, man.
Yeah, they have. We went into the studio where we did the first DiG record at Trent's studio, and we did some stuff too. That was fun, you know.
Yeah, this new record where we recorded the first record. So
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is cool.
Like on the first record, the Won't Believe, did you guys play live like in the studio, or did you guys track each other? You guys played off the floor kind of as a bed track, and then did you guys?
We were live, right? That was one was live.
Yeah. So we were all in ISO rooms. The drums were in the main room, and then we were lucky enough that studio had just the right amount of extra rooms that John could be in his own room. I was in my own room, and then the bass was ISO'd in another room, and then Scott sang along in the control room, and then you know, it was like, I mean, a lot of that stuff was tracks that we got, and we were really well rehearsed.
We were tight.
So, yeah, and we didn't overdub a lot of stuff. Maybe we added a couple little things, or we cleaned some stuff up. But you know, we used a couple of the you know, Dave Jordan little tricks and stuff that he did, you know, with bass and double tracking, and you know, and
I think I think that record sounds great, man. Like the sonics of it, and you know, I love that kind of. You know, in the beginning of the 90s, like they started, you know, the bottom end, the rhythm section really started getting more prominent, because a lot of the 80s records were pretty thin, you know, thin, you know, not a lot of bottom end on it. And I love in the 90s when that started coming back up, and it was more beefy sounding. And you guys sounded Dave Jordan, man. I don't know who mixed the record, but
he did. He mixed it.
Yeah. So, I mean, he did a fantastic job. I mean, again, I love Facelift. I love the albums that, you know, the Nothing Shocking, you know, so I love the albums. I mean, Nothing Shocking, the one record in 80, I mean, I think that was 88. You could hear the bass and drums really well on that. You know, it's like, you know, that was like, I was blown away by the sonics of that record. So the same thing with your debut. But now going into the new album, you guys kind of did it obviously digitally in a different way, right? You know, kind of sending each other tracks, or was it live as well?
It was a mix of a lot of different techniques, you know, like writing stuff and then changing drums a little bit, you know, and then adding. It was a lot of it was just a different process this time, just because we were all kind of in different areas, so we weren't always all together. Yeah. And you know, and it was just definitely the newer style of recording.
Yeah,
you know, I call it.
But I gotta say though, listen to the new album as well. The sonics are great on this too. It's not. I mean, it sounds great. It sounds like classic DiG in my opinion.
So I mean, we're lucky enough to have, you know, Scott, you know, being a producer. Yeah. So that really helps us, because he does a great job, you know, with capturing everything in the beginning, and then we used so when we were making the first record, the second engineer on our record was Robert Carranza, and he ended up being our front of house guy on the road. And he's like, you know, a member of the band, basically. He's just like family. and he's, you know, between now and that first record, he's just become a phenomenal producer and mixer and stuff. And I mean, he's worked with on the last couple of Marilyn Manson records, and he's done, you know, he's Grammy winner. He works with Oza Motley and like a bunch of great people, Jack Johnson and stuff like that. And he mixed the record for us. So
yeah,
we're lucky that that he likes us.
You know, when I was going through this album, I mean, there's great songs everywhere, but I really did like it when y'all kind of slowed things down a little bit, and when y'all threw in, like you were saying, Johnny, that ambient guitar really collides so perfectly and gives a soundscape that John and with his guitar just kind of cut in, but does not overtake what's going on in the background. It's great. It's a really good album.
Yeah,
thank you.
I think two of the songs you guys recorded back in 2021, correct? There's 2 songs on the album.
There, I mean, stuff that's like could be left over from the first record. So,
wow,
it's songs that like I've begged for years and years and years to be able to put out and stuff, and I've fought for really hard. Like, you know, what are we talking about, John? Like, I'm Not Afraid.
Yeah, and Sunset.
Like
Sunset and Embery. Those songs have been around for a while. They never hit the mark. You know, we're always like, oh, these songs are amazing. But then when it was time to put them with other songs that we were working on other things, they never rose to the top. And finally, you know, some of this stuff is really, you know, making its mark and all that. So that's.
Yeah, like I was going to say, Nothing Is Forever, the song on there. I remember you guys released that as a single in 2021, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, during COVID was kind of still going on or whatever. So
the reason why there's such a time difference between that and like putting it out and then this record is because it was a new world for us at that time to come back out and be a band
again. Yeah.
Out and play and put music out. And we were like, oh, wait, there's this whole new world of, you know, of Instagram and like all this other stuff that you have to do. You can't just be a band and go play shows and music. And now it's like you have to be, you know, your own, you know, promoter and you know, and that whole thing. So we kind of jumped in for a second. We're like, oh, wait, this is different. We got to step back and figure out what this new game is, kind of.
Because during that time when you guys released that song, I was still living up in New Jersey, and there was a New York station up there, Q1043. They have Jonathan Clark. He does like a show Sunday nights where he does new music, and he had that song on there. I don't remember if he had one of you guys on or if he had Scott on or something. But I remember he played this song. He's like, New Dig. And I'm like, whoa, no shit, man. But I saw that you guys were on social media, that you guys were releasing it already anyway. So, you know, but it was kind of cool to hear it on the radio. You know what I mean? So it kind of brought me back to like 94 again.
Yeah, because I mean, we kind of jumped back in with our old radio guy that was from, you know, the first record. He was working at the Syndicate, which is a big, you know, promotion company. And we're like, let's do this and, you know, whatever. And then it's just like we started learning more and more. It's like, oh, we have to have a whole different game plan here with this. It's not just put out music and jump on the road anymore. And
that's a cool song, man. I like that song a lot. The backwards kind of guitar effects in the beginning, and it almost kind of gave me a Mother Love Bone kind of vibe a little bit. You know, like I love that band too. I didn't discover them until like later on, until after. Whoa, shit! Fucking Pearl Jam came out of this band.
Yeah.
And that album, that album Apple is like unbelievable. I think I discovered them through the single soundtrack when they had Chloe Dancer on there and stuff. I'm like, wow, who's this band, man? You know, but I kind of got that vibe from a little bit from Nothing Is Forever, because Scott, sometimes the way he sings, I hear a little bit of Andrew Wood in him a little bit. You know, and I don't know if he ever knew him or if he ever was influenced by him or not, but I kind of hear a little bit of that in him. So Great Things kind of sounds almost, gives me a Bowie like Heroes vibe a little bit, with like kind of the Evo kind of thing going on. Am I right on that, John? Or
I like that one too. Nice and dreamy.
Yeah, and that reminded me of, like, you know, old the Dig too. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, it's giving me like, you know,
Mhm.
nostalgic vibes, but it sounds fresh though.
It
Sounds
does.
fresh
Yeah,
and
it
new.
does.
Yeah.
Love it, man. I love that song. I mean, we can go. Trees is really cool. I like Trees, man.
I
That
thought
can,
that one. That
Yeah.
one's been for a little while, and I was like, we have to do this one. We have to, and it was kind of like, oh, we do it, and I don't know. And I always thought that one was could have been a longer, more epic song because there's a lot of parts that it goes through.
yes.
I'm
Because
so
I was gonna say it's a look gives me a little bit of a Pink Floyd and Jane's Addiction vibe at the same time. So
Mhm.
yeah, the echoey lead guitar, you know,
Mhm.
yeah. So another great track. Yeah, Treatment. I got a little bit of a punkish vibe from that one, like certain parts, and then kind of slows down, and then you know,
Mhm.
dynamics again. You guys are great with the dynamics, you know. So can you tell me about that one a little bit?
That one is punky, and then it has the basic Dig middle breakdown, stony breakdown in there.
Yeah.
You know, that's where Johnny's doing you know, puts in his thing, and I put an Ebo in there, and that's a good one. Scott, he wrote songs like in batches, like there'd be a batch of these ones really good, and then we'd whittle that down to like 3 or 4. Then there's another batch, and then those are really good, and we whittle those down, and then so this record kind of got to where okay, we've got so many songs, we need to do it. Let's put them all together and finish this, and put it out and do it. So that's how we kind of got all these songs together.
And then the way that came about was, so we had these fans of the band up in the New York area, and they reached out and said, hey, we have this label that we only put out vinyl for bands, but we do this crazy, you know, packaging for each of one of our releases and stuff. And they said, if you ever put out the Dig record that you've been talking about for 20 years, well, you know, we'd love to do the vinyl for it. And we said, and then we were like, well, we're ready. We have the songs. Let's just do it. And so that sparked the whole thing. It was just that, you know, that little push of somebody had the confidence, you know, to put our music out and stuff like that. So, you know,
that kicked us in the ass.
Yeah.
I like the theme, you know, when you go on Bandcamp or you go on YouTube or whatever, I like the theme how each song has a different color eye, you know. It's kind of cool. Like I like, so I'm wondering, like the packaging of the vinyl is kind of going to be some really kind of cool artwork and
cool stuff. So the label's called Den of Wax, and they're kind of known for these crazy packaging. The thing that sold me with them is they showed us this record they were doing, and it had something to do. I don't know if it was a country western record or whatever, but it had a horse on the front with a cowboy guy riding it. But when you got the vinyl, you pulled the vinyl out. Inside of the vinyl was sand. When you turn the vinyl, sand would move. It was like a clamshell, and there was sand inside, and I've never seen anything like that. And I was like, wow, that is cool. And they were like, yeah, we're going to do this thing. So the concept of the new record is an eye thing. So we're doing things with, I'm not going to tell you what it's all about.
But I can't wait till the vinyl comes out because I'm going to buy it. So
that, you know, do their thing and all that. So it's pretty cool.
I'm kind of as you can see in the background, I got shitload of records, and I'm kind of a physical media guy, so I can't wait till the vinyl comes out, man.
And there's gonna be when it gets released, there's gonna be different levels of the artwork. So you're gonna have your standard, and then you're gonna have a little bit more deluxe, and then a super deluxe one that has this new process of the vinyl that I don't want to say because it's super new.
Nah, man.
That'll be like super limited to like 100 of those, but it's so there's gonna be some special little treats with
that's
the vinyl.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah.
So early next year sometime for the vinyl.
We're planning on February, and then doing shows, you know, through the summer to support. And
Did you get one of these? Did you get one of these?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Look at that, man.
So
no, I didn't get that. Is that on your website or anything?
We'll send you one. Yeah. You can find it on our merch page.
Oh, okay.
So, if you go to our Instagram page, the DiG Instagram page, Dig the Band, and then you click on the link tree, you can get to our merch page.
Yeah.
We'll send you guys one now.
Oh no, I appreciate that, man. Thank you, man.
Gotta have it for the collection. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's fantastic.
Sunset and Embry. Cool.
Yeah. So this is a demo version of the song that's going to be on the final vinyl.
Okay. There's another song I want to ask about. Now, is it Jaffa or is it Jaffa? I don't know.
It's kind of both.
Huh?
It's kind of yeah. But we call it Jaffa.
That's a real kind of dreamy, kind of shoegazy, kind of. I love the vibe of that song too. Kind of laid back, man. It's really, really cool. So, yeah, I like the vibe of that song.
Yeah. That's one of those ones that was like, it hasn't been around for that long. And then when John put his guitars on it, the lead line that comes out, it's just it just every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, that's it. It's so good, like.
And that sounds perfect because it's placed right there in the middle of an album, like the beginning of side 2 or maybe the end of side 1. And sometimes when you hear albums, you start to lose interest. Y'all had really good songs right there in the middle to keep the listener going.
You had a good track order. Good,
exactly.
A good running order.
When we were sequencing it, I went to Robert who mixed it, and I'm like, how do we even begin to sequence it? We kind of knew what we wanted to start with and end with, and then it was in the middle, like, what do we put in there? And he gave me the best tip he ever gave me was put all the songs in the order that you think that work. And then he said, when you're driving in your car, listen to it. And if you don't want to change the song, then it's working. If you don't, and if it goes fluid and you're driving and all of a sudden you're like, oh, the record's done. And that's kind of, to me, this sequence kind of does that. It has that feel to where
it's also a little easier to sequence it when you have two sides. When you're going to have an opening song and the end song on one side, then you get to flip it over, and then you got another opening and another ending song. It gives you more leeway.
That is so important too. So important.
Mm-hmm.
On the way that it's sequenced like that for side 1 and side 2.
I think it's the right length of an album too. You guys didn't overdo it, and
And for people that listen to records, you get it. You know what I mean? You get it how it's supposed to flow.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. I have one more question. I don't know if Andy has any more questions, but touring, man, what's up with touring? What are your plans? Not yet.
So what we're right now, we're kind of in that weird place because I work with a lot of other bands in a business that I have. I have a merchandising business.
Okay.
And I have a lot of bands. So I go on the road a lot with bands, and and I see the climate of what's going on with touring right now. And it's not good.
It's not economical. Yes.
It is not. I mean, bands have gone from back in our day, we would go on tour for 2 months straight. And we'd have 1 or 2 days off a week if we were lucky. And now bands are almost going down to, they only go out Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Weekend warriors.
Warriors thing, because the Monday, Tuesday, the Sunday through, Wednesdays.
Nobody's going out.
Nobody's going out. And then you have to have gas in the van to get to wherever you're going. You have to have hotel rooms for that whole thing. So those days are eating up your profits. So, but I mean, what we're hoping to do is, because it's been a while since we've been out, and of course we're not going to roll into Dallas with trees and pull 800 people. We're looking for other bands to package with, because we figure like that's where we have the most to offer is if you get us on a bill with somebody like the Toadies or whoever it might be, Stone Temple Pilots, or a band that was from our era and did well. Blind Melon's still out there playing, and all that. So
I'll give you a good example. Tomorrow, my wife and I were going to see Everclear, Sponge, and Local H here in Florida.
Yeah, our singers did that in Seattle.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty nice package. I mean, you have any memories of those guys? Have you ever run into any of those, like Everclear, Sponge, or any of those guys, or you don't know them? Or
I met the singer in Sponge once while we were out doing something. He was a friend of mine. Cool guys, super nice guys. The Everclear guys. I didn't really hang out with the singer, but I used to hang with the scene, that was part of the Santa Barbara scene. But they all lived all the Silver Jets and Popsico and bands like that there was a kind of a scene coming out of there. But he was good friends with them, and there was kind of there was a house that these bands used to always play in up in the Hollywood Hills. And I know that he was friends with all those cats, so he kind of ran in that thing. And then the local H, I mean, I was lucky enough to see them back in the day when they were touring for, you know, when they were at their
I've never seen them before, so I'm actually kind of excited to see them, you know. So I know they're just two guys, but you know, it'd be cool. I thought that, I mean, because you guys were talking about like it'd be cool if you guys had a cool package to tour with, and I just kind of brought that out because I happen to be going to see them tomorrow. So I think that's kind of a similar package that you guys could be on, like some of those kind of bands.
We'd love to be on that bill.
Exactly what we're looking for, you know,
because that's the same kind of era that you guys come from.
Yeah.
So
I went to see a show last night with Dandy Warhols and the Kula Shaker, and it pushed me when it was the two of them together. It pushed me over there. I was like, yeah, for sure, I'm gonna go see that because you know I love both of those bands.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, ticket prices are a little bit high these days, but if you get a little bit more for your money, it's you know, it's more of a for sure. Yeah, hey, I'll go check this out. You know,
cool.
whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to see Failures open up for the Cult. You know, here in a couple weeks, and so I'm really excited for that. You know, it's cool. I mean, to me, that's like wow, two of my favorite bands. Like you know,
and the Cult is doing the Death Cult thing, right?
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I think they're doing.
I think they're mixing it.
Yeah, which is super cool.
That's cool as hell. Yeah. Because I heard that they were gonna be playing a lot of the Death Cult, like kind of early stuff. So that's pretty cool, man. So I've seen the Cult quite a few times, man. A great band. So
yeah.
All right, so you know, I don't know, anything you want to add, Andy?
No, this was a great show. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on with us and telling us everything about DiG and you know how y'all got to here and what's going on in the future. It's exciting to hear.
So yeah, plug your album. I think you can get it on Bandcamp digitally, right? Correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can get it on Bandcamp if you want to digitally download it, and then you can listen to it on YouTube. If you just want to listen to it, and then the vinyl will be coming out in February, and you know we're on Instagram, Dig the Band, and that kind of. If you go onto Instagram and then you go to Dig the Band, if you go to our link tree, it takes you to all those links.
Okay.
And all that.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, John Morris, Johnny Cornwell, dude, it's been honestly I don't want to fanboy out, but it's been a pleasure because I really. No pun intended. I really dug you guys when you came out. You know,
so when we come to play a show in your area, you have to introduce us.
I live in Tampa, Florida, so if you ever come to this area, definitely
figure it out. Tell us where we're playing. We're gonna play in your backyard. Do you have a backyard?
Yeah, I do.
All
right,
we'll do it.
I can even open up my garage, and you guys can. I just want to let you know, I actually have a full size. If you guys want to like geek out, if you're ever in the area, and Andy knows this, in my lanai in the back porch, I have a full size Kiss light up sign that they would actually hang up and light up. Dude, nice. I'm not bullshitting you, man. Like you can see it on my social media. I actually, I'll tell you a little story real quick. So when I lived in New Jersey, I called into the classic rock station. It was a contest. Oh, it was when they had that movie Spinning Gold out, which is the Casablanca record story.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So they were doing like if you called in or something, I called in, I won like the Blu-ray of the movie or whatever. But you were entered into the grand prize. I'm like, I'll try it, man. I ended up winning the grand prize. So the grand prize was actually the big Kiss sign that lit up that the band in the movie used. Right.
Oh my God.
And not only that, the actor that played Gene Simmons, the costume that he wore, the Gene Simmons costume. Like,
wow.
I won that, and the Ace Frehley boots, the silver boots, and a turntable, and the record, and like the soundtrack to the album.
So check it out. If we come and we play your house, John will wear the boots.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, what size are those boots?
So no, but seriously, if you guys ever come to Tampa, like, I'm friends with both of you guys on social media. Yeah. If you guys ever make it down here, man, I absolutely, I'm going to be at the show, and you know, we'll hang out or whatever. So, there's actually a great club that would be perfect for you guys here. It's called the Brass Mug, and it's in Tampa.
All right.
So if you guys ever remember that, like, look into that because it's a lot of like it's a nice size for you guys, I think, you know.
Okay.
So yeah. And they you know, Tampa was a big death metal scene, a lot of the death metal bands, but it's a healthy concert scene down here. Like so many bands pass through here. So
Amazing.
I mean, it'd be perfect if you guys come down here, man. I'm there, man. So
cool.
you know. So all
Yeah,
right,
we
so
played Tampa with Bad Brains and Prong. We went through there with those guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, it's crazy.
Back in the day, Bad Brains, man. And I saw Prong open up for Ozzy on the No More Tears tour.
Wow.
They played at Madison Square Garden, but not the big room in Madison Square Garden. They played the theater part of Madison Square Garden. That's where Ozzy played, which was like it blew me away because he was playing the smaller room during the No More Tears tour. And I'm like, because that was a pretty big album for him.
Huge album.
But I didn't mind because it was more intimate. It was like I got to see Ozzy like right there, you know.
Wow.
And Prong opened up and they blew my face off, man. They were great.
Yeah.
So again, it's Dig the Band at Bandcamp, I think, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, go on their social media, Instagram, you know, follow them and check out the new album. It's out now digitally. Next year, you get the vinyl, you get all the bells and whistles. And again, John and Johnny, a pleasure to have you guys on. I love you guys, man. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on, guys. Thanks for being really good people. I really enjoyed hanging out with y'all. And people who are watching this, go to their merch page. Go check it out.
Yeah, and order the album on there when it comes out, pre-order, or if you ever have a pre-order for it, or check out their other stuff, man, vinyl and T-shirts, whatever they got, you know. And thanks for being on Black Spinner Circle. Subscribe to our channel. Also, my channel, Be Cool, Be Podcast Out. It'll be up. This video will be up on there. And guys, again, thank you very much. Andy, what do we got going on next week? Anything?
I don't know yet. I will let you know. I got several ideas coming.
Whatever it's going to be anticlimactic from tonight. So
yeah.
But again, guys, thank you so much and have a great night. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks.
Take care, man. Have a great night.
Have a good one.